We're in Devon for a few days, so today we're going for a walk around Wood, which is on the Dart Valley Trail. So down here there's a little stream that is a tributary of the Dart River that we have to cross. I don't think there's a bridge. I think it's kind of stepping stones or something. We'll have a look. But it's down here in this, well, not quite ravine. But so we make our way down to the river, we cross it, and then we got a circular walk in the Wood plantation. Dog on the lead because there are deer around here and she will chase them. Here's the first fungi of the day, common earthball, not edible, but they're looking very well developed, so you know, we might find some mushrooms to pick today. I shan't be too upset if we don't. A nice mixed woodland, a lot of chestnut. That's a sweet chestnut tree here. Always look at the bark on a sweet chestnut. Even when the leaves have fallen, you can kind of recognize the sweet chestnut because the bark does a spiral thing as it goes up. I don't think it has a particular direction it likes to spiral. It doesn't have a specific chirality, but nearly always sweet chestnut has got a spiral to the bark, a twist to the trunk. So that's where we're going, over there. Some rather nice woods. We're going to have a walk around inside there. So this is Devon, different from Dorset terrain wise, so a lot more rocky rather than chalky and limestone. So this is like a shale or perhaps schist type rock. You can see the path is just composed of it. There's some kind of bramble there, looks like just blackberries, but you can see the leaves starting to turn. We're in September now, so there are signs that the summer is behind us and we're turning the corner into autumn. These berries are honeysuckle, not edible, not to humans anyway. There are edible honeysuckles, but this is just a common one. Terrain here is very characteristically deeper west country, so Devon and Cornwall, with these deeply cut little valleys, rocky valleys, very shady, very lush and green. Because obviously there's running water here that comes out of a stream, out of the rock, but also there's enough shade here and probably coolness to precipitate a lot of dew even when it doesn't rain, so this probably stays quite green all year round. So just back here I noticed a bit that looks like, this looks like somebody's perhaps made a little enclosed space here. Maybe there was a spring that came out of this rock at one point and this was a pool to collect that water. And just across the track here is what looks like the ruin of a little cottage. I'm just going to have a quick look in here. Yes, so this would have been a tiny room. There's what remains of a hearth down there, and then there's something else here. Definitely the ruin of a cottage, possibly a tiny chapel, I don't know. More than likely though a little cottage, what looks like perhaps another room over behind that wall, or possibly several small cottages with people living, cooking, sleeping in one room as a family. But yes, there's what looks like that might have been a fireplace on an upper floor. Maybe there was a wooden floor in here, and a loft with a fireplace, warmer up at the top of the building, perhaps the bedroom up at the top, and then the kitchen and sort of eating area and living area down at the bottom. But definitely the ruin of a small stone built cottage. Quite old, I would say, because there's no cement holding these walls together, so these are just dry stone walls generally. I think there might be a bit of, yeah, see, that's probably another fireplace there, so probably another little room here at the back, or maybe that's the top of a doorway. Perhaps that's been filled in and that's actually floor level is raised up. But yeah, largely not cemented. There is a bit of lime cement in some of these bits over the door there, but a lot of these walls are just dry stone. Interesting. Anyway, I'm now way behind the group consisting of Jenny, Eva and myself. Let's press on. So here's the little stream we do have to cross. Oh, Jenny's found a caterpillar. What have we found? Oh, that's an interesting one. I'll get some closer footage because the GoPro doesn't focus. But if you recognise what that caterpillar is, do let me know in the comments. So Eva there looking for, or just inspecting the rocks in general. There you go, she's found a good rock. She's an expert at that. And yeah, little stepping stones just to get across the stream. Fortunately not slippery. Beautifully clear, clean spring water flowing down here. Probably emerges just out of the rock face somewhere not very far up there. Anyway, trail we're following today has got a circular route that goes round here. We can go in either direction. A little bit of mud to traverse because it's been raining recently. Have you still got your rock, Eva? Oh, okay. And here, a door beetle, or Dumbledore, crossing the path. Unfortunately, we've seen quite a lot of these have been crushed by people accidentally just stepping on them. We'll wait until this one crosses over. I won't interfere though, because sometimes if you move them to where you think they're going, it's not where they're actually going. So we're staying in a little cottage in Brixham, just over the other side of the hill. Brixham being an important fishing port. We've got a little cottage with a balcony view of the port. Here's a little bit of footage of that. Brixham's fantastic, loads of lovely little independent, unique shops, bakeries, cafes, a lot of fish and chip shops. So today's lunch is going to be a pasty that we bought from, there was a pasty shop on the quayside that had all sorts of different options. So we've got, well, I've got a large one, Jenny's got a regular one. What does that tell you? So this is either a creek offshoot or a tributary of the River Dart down here. Creek as in a tidal inlet, that's the name. I think I've mentioned that in several videos before, but in the UK the term creek tends to mean a tidal inlet that resembles a river but has tidal flow and doesn't necessarily have much inflow into it. So it looks like a river, but it empties out when the tide goes out. That's what we call a creek here. Your mileage may vary. So we're going to stick to the trail, but I am keeping my eyes open for anything that we might forage off to the sides. The reason we're not going right off the trail is, well, there's quite a lot of undergrowth here for a start, lots of brambles down there, and it's also quite steep and slippery. So we'll stick to the trail for the most part. Mossy bank. Can you tell what I'm looking for on a mossy bank? Now, of course, I can look on this side, but the thing to do is just peer over and see if we can see anything bright yellow on the other side. And I don't see anything just here, but we'll explore those kind of things because it is chanterelle season and it's more moist here, and there has been some precipitation as well, so we will just keep our eyes open for forageable things. Well, this is interesting, woodland environment, but here's a bit of heather indicating an acid soil. So if we were here earlier in the year, another thing to look out for here might be bilberries, because they like an acid soil. And that is bilberry foliage there, so that would have been a good guess. I can hear a train in the distance there. We might get a view of the track. It's a steam train, I think. The camera wasn't rolling, but I definitely heard a steam whistle. Another door beetle. Should be careful not to crush these. There's a lot of, unfortunately, it's really sad. I've seen quite a lot of them dead on the path. People have accidentally stepped on. I suppose you can't have your eyes everywhere. There's another one there. There are the sounds of construction. There's some sort of marina development type of thing happening down here. Right, we're getting up to a hilltop now, so we might get some sort of view, even if it's only through the trees, of the River Dart, and that's Dartmouth over there. What I love about these rivers, especially in the West Country but all over the UK, is you get the River Dart, you get Dartmouth, which is the mouth of the River Dart, Dartmouth, and then you get other towns and villages all the way up the river with the name Dart in them. So I think Dartington is another one. So and the same with the River Exe, which is slightly to the east of where we are. So you've got Exmouth, and then Exeter, which is the kind of cathedral city, and then Exford, and all sorts of little towns along the river with the word X in them. And that pattern is repeated for a lot of our rivers. Another door beetle. We're seeing a lot of those. It is lovely actually to be able to see glimpses of the river through the trees like this. It actually reminds me a lot of Hamble Valley Country Park, back near where we used to live. So there's a river valley with an elevated woodland walk above a quite deep river with various boats and whatnot in it. What you got? Oh, Jenny's found a chanterelle. There we go, but just the one. That is definitely a chanterelle down there, emerging from the moss. And there's been a different fungus here. There's bits and pieces of possibly some other white-stalked fungus here. I'm not going to pick that chanterelle. I have a kind of rule that I try to stick to, which is you don't pick the first one of anything you find, because it might be the only one you see. So we'll keep looking, but that is a hopeful sign. It did look a little bit dried out, I've got to say, but we might find more chanterelles along here. Well, we should do, because if you never just find one. If there's one growing here, that means chanterelles in general are growing in this woodland. So we'll keep our eyes peeled. But yeah, I don't pick the first one of anything I find foraging, because if it turns out that was the only one, then it's quite important that it's left to complete its life cycle, and in that case produce spores that might go on to spread it around a bit more. Quite a steep hill. Lots of small blackberry sort of species here. I keep thinking maybe I'm looking at cloudberries or some other species of bramble, but these are just underripe small blackberries. Blackberries are a weird kind of conglomeration of subspecies and varieties. I think they call it a species complex, where there are hundreds of different variations all within essentially the same species, and they sometimes hybridize and they sometimes don't. That's the railway line we heard a train on earlier. I think it's a heritage, one of these heritage steam railways. Well, I thought we'd done all the kind of up there was, but no, there is more up. Okay, well, we'll get up here, I think, then we'll stop for our pasty. Quite a steep trail here, and this bit at the side here is where water's run down here and eroded quite a deep channel. I don't know how well these things come across on camera, and often I get people saying, "Oh, why are you so out of breath?" Well, I've been walking all the time, the camera wasn't rolling for one thing, but also this is probably steeper than it looks on camera. It's not quite as steep as a staircase, but nearly. I hear a steam train. Are we going to hear the steam whistle? Can't see it. The whistle's going to go as soon as I turn the camera off. This looks like a reasonable perching spot to sit and eat our pasties. Eva's little nose is going crazy. Don't eat the flies, because the pasties are out. This looks fantastic. I mean, I did say to Jenny, get me a big one, but that's a whopper. So traditional pasty contains typically skirt steak, beef steak, onion, potato, swede, which you might know as rutabaga, lots of pepper. You all can have a bit in a minute. Still nice and warm. We actually packed everything else and then dashed down to the pasty shop to get these just before we set out. So they're still just lovely and warm, just the right temperature to enjoy. So that was quite a steep climb, quite a lot of it. We're now on a gentle slope back down, I think, to the little stream that we forded, and then back to the start of our trail. So this might be the last little segment of footage. We haven't found anything to forage, but I'm not unduly worried about that. We came out here largely for a nice walk, and a nice walk we have had. The weather is not promising fantastic things this week. We've got some quite heavy rain tomorrow, I think, so it's just nice to get out in the woods, see a bit of green, breathe a bit of fresh air. Here's a rather eaten specimen of a russula, possibly charcoal burner, rather munched. So that, I think, concludes our little walk in Longwood at Kingswear alongside the River Dart. I hope it's been interesting. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.